So much energy on this rack. Peru, Oaxaca, North Africa. This is actually kind of a kaleidoscope of really the last 5 years of my life. No matter where I go, I'm always looking at textiles. I am a complete 100% hoarder and textile nerd. I think my mom got me my sewing machine when I was 7 years old. So I started really young, actually making my own things and not buying off the rack. I was adopted at birth, but I grew up in Fort Branch, Indiana, this tiny, tiny little town near Kentucky, near the Ohio River. I definitely had a very westernized, colonized version of what American Indian or Native Americans meant because of my upbringing. I grew up in such a tiny little place in the middle of nowhere that my only connection at that time, because that was before the internet, was only through magazines and things. So certainly nothing to do with indigenous culture made it into where I grew up. My parents were so loving, they thought it was such a great thing to get me a native outfit. They had one made for me when we were on the reservation and they took me there to visit. But at the same time, I was the child that was asked to go around to all the churches at Thanksgiving and take donations on behalf of the children at these, indigenous communities. And that was such an uncomfortable thing for me at a young age, to be pushed out as the face of the indigenous culture in America, being so disconnected from it. Now at this age, obviously I'm going through a decolonization program where I'm really just trying to break free of all these things that I've been brought up, whether it was the way we were taught US history, the lack of Native American culture, the lack of Native American history that we learn. I've actually had to do research and relearn that myself because it's not common information. So that's been a big part of my path the last couple of years, of really just letting go of all the colonization aspects of being a Native American here in the United States. Mm-hmm. I worked in a very mass market area when I was in my design career, big brands, and I've actually been to those factories, and I just didn't resonate with what was going on. I saw certain countries, certain peoples just being completely taken advantage, not being paid what I consider a fair wage, and using toxic dyes, toxic manufacturing methods. So it's something that I just didn't want to be part of. Fast fashion, disposable clothing that eventually end up in landfill in 6 months, maybe a year. This is really where I keep all of the fabrics that I have in work. This came from 14,000 feet up on a mountain in Osengade. I look through piles, the dirtiest, awful piles of things, or I walk endlessly through markets, through small villages, and you'll just see those things. They're just waiting for you to rescue them. So I have to. It's not a question. They just need to come home with me. A lot of times they're the poor, sad little broken pieces that got left behind, and I can see what it's going to be, and I can restore it. It's a clear message that pops into my head, and I get such a crystal clear picture of what it's supposed to look like, that all it's up to me is just to manifest that and to make it into whatever that vision is in my head. When you see fabrics like this, these are old mossy cloths from Northern Africa. You could never recreate that. Those are so beautiful and so pristine based on age, based on wear, based on the sun, based on how many times it's been around the cycle of the earth. Halfway through menopause, I started having the crazy hot, and I just had to cut it all off because it just needed to go. So I finally just had them shave the back, and it kept going higher and higher, and the higher it went, the less hair I have, the faster I was moving. So it was the best thing I've ever done. It's my center point. I start off every morning putting my top knot on, putting my flight suit on, and then just heading out and getting shit done. So it's just my uniform, my simplicity. I actually live in these suits for up to 2 to 3 days sometimes. They're pajamas, they're clothes, it's what I go and function in the world. They can be super fancy or super stripped down. This is my favorite thing is the blend. So what I have on is a beautiful, beautiful old kente cloth, Northern African. Mm-hmm. And we broke that into, it was a really big piece of fabric, so I broke it into 2 pieces and did a wrap skirt. I've got that on with indigenous boots that I got from Manitoba. These actually have all the dirt from the Bistai wilderness areas in northwest New Mexico, my ancestral land, and just one of the most beautiful places I feel at home. I get asked a lot about can I wear this? Is it appropriate if I blend these things together? I have these discussions with everyone. I think the main thing when we talk about is it appropriate is to actually do the research and find out, is this something that's associated, that's a sacred piece? Is it a ceremonial piece? If you're gonna wear something from that culture, learn about it, learn where it came from. I love textiles, I love blending textiles, so I never would feel that it's inappropriate to combine a Native American piece with a Northern African piece, with a Peruvian piece, with a Oaxacan piece. That's the beauty of being a textile lover. And so I embrace that. I mean, I definitely have people that have a point of view about that, but my personal thing is I love the blend. I love the blend of the culture. The gray is the fact that I'm damn proud that I'm an elder, that I am 55 years old, and that I am here in this space of authenticity, and my hair is like my badge. My youthfulness is more connected to the way my brain works than anything to do with the way that I look. It's a constant state of creativity and making and doing and connecting and bridging and meeting and tasting and running and dancing. Honestly, it's just being part of the world and part of life. I'm never sitting still unless I'm probably sleeping. I'm running wild and free in states, in cultures, in all age groups, and just doing what I really love doing and connecting with other like-minded creatives. Thank goodness I dropped out of corporate life, because I'd probably be sitting in front of a big fat office and a big fat desk answering emails till 2 a.m. in Asia right now. And instead, I'm drinking red wine and eating dark chocolate and doing dye stuffs at all hours, because it's so much fun.